Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Matt, and I like video games. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how we as gamers should be demanding better than 30 FPS for next-gen games. So let's get started. So before I get started, I just wanted to say that I recently upgraded to a Blue Yeti mic from my Turtle Beach stream mic. So for me personally, I think it sounds a lot better, but I would also like some feedback from you guys about how it sounds on your end. Does it sound okay? Do I need to do some tweaking? Just let me know in the comments and enjoy the video. So I saw earlier this week that Ubisoft confirmed that Assassin's Creed Valhalla will run at quote unquote at least 30 FPS on Xbox Series X. And for me personally, my initial reaction to that was thinking that that's more of a term they're using for their marketing. They don't want to market this game at 60 FPS, even though they might be targeting it, because they might not be able to hit it. And if they can't hit it, then upset fans would be the least of your worries, because you could also get legal action taken against you for misleading people with your marketing. So I think this is just a case of them playing it a little bit too safe and saying, hey, it's going to run at least 30 FPS. And I think that they're targeting, in the back of their heads, they're targeting 60 FPS, but they can't say for sure because so far it's not running at 60 FPS yet on the hardware. But regardless, I think this begs a better and bigger question, which is, why are we even still talking about 30 FPS for next gen? Like, the Xbox Series X and the PS5 are both going to be able to run just about anything that you throw at it at 60 FPS. I mean, everybody's talking about the T-flops on the GPU side, which I get because it's a big factor. And you also see people pushing, especially Sony, you see them pushing that SSD, which again, it's a big factor. But the biggest factor in these consoles by far is that CPU. The upgrade from the Jaguar cores and the AMD processors in this generation to the Zen 2 cores and the AMD processors in next generation is going to be a quantum leap. It's going to be something that legitimately changes the way that games are made for consoles. And it doesn't just benefit console players, it benefits PC players as well. It benefits everybody. Because now that developers can target better specs on consoles, it's going to raise the minimum spec on PC. And this benefits all games. I mean, this will lead to open world games feeling more dynamic because developers will be able to add more information for the CPU to handle in their worlds, because these CPUs, quite frankly, are just capable of doing it, as opposed to current gen CPUs, where the problem more often than not was the fact that the CPU wasn't able to supply the GPU with the frames that the GPU wanted to put out. This was quite often the case with current gen Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, where the CPU was underpowered and the GPU was quite a bit overpowered. And this is why you get CPU-bound games that run at 30 FPS on console. Games like, off the top of my head, Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Origins. Both of those games are very CPU intensive. And it's exactly those kind of games that will flourish during next gen because the hardware is just there for it to do so. And this is exactly why I wanted to make this video, because we know for a fact that the hardware will be there for this upcoming generation of consoles. The only thing that's left to be answered is, what are developers going to do with this hardware? What are their main priorities? I mean, I get slightly uneasy when I hear Ubisoft say Assassin's Creed Valhalla will run at least 30 FPS. Because there's no reason with that hardware for anything, especially anything being made right now, to be running at less than 60 FPS. But I feel like until we as consumers start demanding 60 FPS, you're going to get the outlier developer who decides they're going to push the graphical end of things a lot more than they're going to push the FPS. And that's how you end up with these games at like 4K 30 FPS. Like, for example, with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, if they say, yeah, we can get it running at 4K with super high details, but it's going to be 30 FPS. Or we can throw in a performance mode and it's 1440p at 60 FPS. I'm 100% going 1440p 60 FPS. And you know what? Even if it's 1080p 60 FPS, I'm 100% going 1080p 60 FPS. Because it's just the better experience. And like, this is why I feel like it's important to give credit to developers this generation who pushed 60 FPS. Like Gears 5, the Coalition, they pushed 60 FPS on Gears 5 on the Xbox One X. And it's amazing. It's breathtaking to play it on the Xbox One X. And that's one of those games where they didn't have to do that. They could have just slapped 30 FPS on there and pushed 4K as hard as they possibly could, and people would have still bought it. People would have been fine with it, but they did the right thing because they know that 60 FPS is it's the better experience. It's the better way to sell your game. And I feel like the more we celebrate these kind of developers, the more it gets normalized, and the more other developers see it and they realize that that's what we want. So all we can really do at this point is just be vocal about it. Obviously be respectful. Don't get on Twitter and just start yelling at developers. But be vocal and be respectful. And if we can all do that, I think developers will start to understand that that's what we want, and they'll start to cater to that more than they will the graphical side of things. But what do you guys think? Do you think that 60 FPS should be the norm? Or are you more for pushing the graphical end more than the FPS? Let me know in the comments. Like the video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you would be so kind. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.